Every martial artist want to be faster, stronger, want to spar 8 rounds like they just take a walk. Today, we're going to discuss about the energy system and how you can take advantage of that. So that after watching this video, when your coach tell you to run 10K, that's gonna make you fight longer, you know in your mind that that is not specific enough. EZ Wing Chun gonna show you the easiest way. Let's go. There are 3 energy systems or 3 metabolic pathways. You got creatine phosphate, glycolysis, and oxidative. Now scientific words, scary, I know, I hate them too. But to keep it simple, all you need to know is creatine phosphate is responsible for all of the short bursts, high intensity for the first 30 seconds of the workout. And then you got glycolysis. Basically, it's responsible for the next 2.5 minutes and depends on the intensity or depend on with or without oxygens. Now it divides into 2 subcategories. So with oxygens, the pyruvate is the product of the glycolysis, right? It will turn into acetylcholines and then it go into the aerobic pathway. So oxygens, aerobic. Without oxygen, it will turn into lactase and it will follow the anaerobic pathway. So no air and aerobic pathway, right? Very simple, right? And we all know that lactase acid is responsible for the feeling of burning sensations from your muscle. When, let's say you're running and then your muscle turn into noodle, right? When you're sparring and then you get tired, you can't even hold your guard up. All of that come from lactase acid, right? And then you got oxidative. It's responsible for anything that longer than 3 minutes and very, very low intensity. So something like when you sit here and then you watch this video, it means that you use your oxidative energy system. Very simple, right? So why we should understand about it, how it brings benefits to our training. When you look at creatine phosphate, right? Like I said, it's responsible for the first 30 seconds, but it doesn't give you the maximum performance for the full amount of 30 seconds because all of the energy system work together at any given time. It's just that the varies in percentage, so one is more dominant than the others. So in this case, the creatine phosphate will start going up and then it will going out at the end of 30 seconds. For non-professional athlete, it's about 7 to 8 seconds to maintain the 100% speed and power. And for professional athlete, it's about 12 to 15 seconds. So think about that. Instead of maintaining 100% of your performance for 7-8 seconds, so now by get adapted to this creatine phosphate, you now can prolong it into 15 seconds. That 7 seconds is very crucial. Let's say somebody punched you in the face, you have to defend yourself, right? So instead of you can throw 10 punches at your maximum speed and then you start to get tired, now you can add in another 20 punches, which is very beneficial for self-defense stuff. Also because it's the mechanism for human survival. It helps a lot, like when somebody, with a knife chasing you, it gives you all of that energies to run away, right? So another 7-8 seconds for maximum performance, I'm in. For the glycolysis, right? Everybody know that oxygen is very, luxury, very privileged when you spar. Of course, everybody that spar at the end of the sparring, they all go, right? Because they lack of oxygen. So when you lack of oxygen, you're gonna build more lactate. And with lactate acid, you're gonna get fatigued, you're gonna get tired, all of that. So with the adaptations, now your body know how to clean up those lactate better, more effectively. So in another word, your body is pretty smart. They know that, okay, this guy gonna keep doing that, right? So they don't want the feeling of burning sensation. So they like, okay, let's upregulate convert the lactate into glucose to keep produce energies because this guy won't listen. He gonna keep training. So now when you get adapted to it, your recovery time is shortened, which means you can, get back to your maximum performance faster, which is very beneficial in the sparring. Because let's say you're very good at creating force space, right? You go in there the first 30 seconds, you dominate the guy, and then you gas out. So now you become a dead fish, and then you become a dummy bag for the guy to punch you for the next 2.5 minutes. Of course, nobody want that, right? For the aerobic pathway, now, I have to talk about this first. The fine line that defines aerobic and anaerobic in glycolysis is the lactate threshold. So if your intensity above that, you start to build up lactate and you get tired. If you work below that, in theory, you can go as long as you want. You can go forever without, you don't need to stop because you don't get tired. So by training the aerobic pathway, you now push that threshold farther and farther and farther, right? Have you ever noticed on the first time that you spar, you get tired pretty fast, but compared to after 6 months sparring, so now you don't get tired that easy. It's because you push that threshold farther. So now it takes longer for all of those lactates to build up in your body, which is a very good thing, right? Because now you don't go into the huffing puffing like fresh, and you don't want to go huffing puffing when the guy is punching you, right? So this is very ideal. So how can we take advantage of that and incorporate into our training? I'm gonna give you a very basic exercise, but of course you can always manipulate it, modify it, and put it into other theme or environment, right? Let's say for the creating force phase, since you want to prolong that burst, right? So now instead of, let's say you get used to running very slow pace for an hour, now what you want to do is you want to short burst and run as fast as you want for the first 30 seconds or 1 minute, and then you just take a slowly walk to recharge yourself for the next 2 minutes. So 1 minute in 100% speed, and then 2 minutes out walking, deep breath, all of that, right? And then now you will notice that the enzyme activities improve, so your ATP productions improve. So basically you have way more energies, and then you will prolong the time that you can run as fast as you could, right? And then you can also incorporate it into striking, like you punch as fast as you could, right? Something like that, like shadow boxing, heavy bag, or pad training, all of those things, right? For the glycolysis, for the anaerobic pathway, right? So if you notice for the recovery time, you need to know what your lactate threshold is. So if you want it really precise, you can go to the lab. People are gonna force you to exercise and take your blood sample and all of that to measure your lactate threshold, right? But of course, not everybody can afford to go to the lab. So I give you a very cheap way. You can get into a treadmill and run. So notice the pace that you don't get tired and the pace that gets you tired, and monitor your heart rate there. So if you get tired, it means that you pass the lactate threshold, and if you're not, it means that you exercise below that lactate threshold, right? Once you got that lactate threshold for the anaerobic, you want to work out at the heart rate that just passed that threshold. So now you will get tired, yes, but when you get tired, try to rest at least as possible. So now your body upregulate the process of convert all of the lactic acid back into glucose to regenerate more energies, right? With that upregulation, you can just recovery so fast. That's very beneficial for sparring, right? And then for the aerobic pathway, you can train anything endurance, like a slow pace, 10-kilometer run, right? Or the slow sparring, but then you spar for 10 minutes, those kind of thing. That will improve the VO2 max, will improve your capillaries, so all of the gas exchange. So when the oxygens go in, it will get delivered into the muscle, into the tissue more effectively, because then now more blood vessel wrap around the muscle, and also the stroke volume go up, so the ability for the heart to pump more blood into the tissue is better, because the heart It's like the bicep. If you train that, it's gonna get bigger, it's gonna get stronger, it's gonna get faster, more effective at what it does. That's it for today's guide. If you try any of my advice, let me know in the comment sections. I would love to discuss with you about that. And like I always said, knowledge is power, but it cannot win the fight. Repetitions there. So make sure you train hard. EZ Wing Chun, peace out. See you in the next video.